Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this week's episode of Faggots of Fantasy for the WFHL. We are officially in playoff season. We've wheedled out all the losers of the league, and we're down to the best eight. Some would say the best eight. I'm here, Stephen Pelleriti, and I'm joined today by my co-host himself. Go ahead and
Johnny
introduce
Zero
yourself.
Green.
Yeah, Zero Green indeed. And yeah, we're here, playoff season. We've all been waiting for this. Lots of lots of hype built up around this. The chirps have been flying pretty aggressively lately. A lot of heat building up in the league, and we've finally made it to that promised land, and I'm really excited to see how this postseason plays out, Johnny.
Yeah, David's been receiving some absolute banter lately. He's been getting pumped right into the driveway.
I'm actually glad you brought that up. I think we got to get straight into the probably the biggest form of drama I've seen this season in fantasy comes from the last. Actually, it's built off the last 2 weeks. Really, we had David versus Peach. The Flow Gods came up against the Predators in an incredibly crucial matchup there. Winner getting a huge advantage to make it into the playoffs, and as you saw, the Predators escaped with that one. Close matchup, I must add, but the Predators escape and they get it through. And as you can see now, it's cost the Flow Gods severely, as they are no longer opening their fantasy apps beyond this week.
And the Predators gets his first playoff appearance of all time.
Yeah, this
It's going
is
to be an exciting time.
it definitely means a lot for that franchise there. I know the fans, they've been demanding more. They want to see more. And he's after an abysmal first year, really, being an expansion, sorry, I can't speak. Expansion team, a lot of people were hoping to see some great things, maybe some Vegas-esque performances, but really he just got kicked out of the club in the first 5 minutes. It was terrible. But
Yeah,
yeah,
the
this
Predators
season.
fans have been locked in a basement for quite a while, so it's good to see some playoff light.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring that up, actually. I'm sure they've hit the age where they're allowed to leave the basement at this point. But yeah, after that week 21 matchup between the Predators and the Atlantis Thrashers. Oh, I just realized I was referring to the Flow Gods. They are the Thrashers now after the mid-season rebranding. I completely
Oh,
forgot.
yeah, the rebranding.
The rebrand, it could have led to this downfall, really. I think the general manager himself, David, he's had his head so far in the pussy clouds at Atlantis, and it's completely just taken over his mindset, and he hasn't been able to focus on being that manager that this franchise needs to get to that extra step in the playoffs.
Vanessa ruined his team single-handedly.
Yeah, that is actually a crucial thing to touch on there. A few weeks ago, Vanessa actually did retire from the industry, and ever since then, it's just been terrible, terrible downhill spiral from the Atlantis Thrashers, just not performing and not putting up enough of a fight, and it led all the way to week 22, where finally we did see some fight from the Thrashers, but it was too little, too late, as he was
Just wasn't enough.
competing against an absolute skeleton of a team, the Gordon Bombays. I mean, that team. God, I could pick 12 players from the waiver wire right now, and I could probably beat that lineup
Oh,
because
I think you could beat it easily.
you give me eight players because like what was that guy doing? I mean, there's a reason he stumbled to 12th. He really could have avoided that punishment, and now he's gonna have to live with his own mistakes.
I think he just saw Peach in the dress last year. I saw him eyeing him at the table, and I think he was just really jealous, and he kind of wanted to get in that position, try out the dress for himself.
it's going to be a sight for sore eyes, unfortunately. But it's a punishment league wide at this point. But yeah, after that, after Atlantis goes ahead and takes down Gordon Bombays, it all comes down to that matchup: Peachville Predators versus the commissioner himself, Muppets on Ice. And Johnny, why don't you get a little into the importance of that matchup right there and how much it meant to the league?
Well, Nick Bettman just wouldn't make that move on that Sunday night to give Peach the L. He welcomed Peach into the playoffs with open arms. I don't know if he hates David. I don't know if he loves Peach. I don't know if there's tampering going on or what there is, but it happened. Nick lost. Peach won. Peach is in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's quite ridiculous, honestly. I'm not one for conspiracy theories and all that, but definitely did not see, a top tier performance from Muppets on Ice. He was not giving it his all, and there was a lot of big talk sending towards David's way, and he really just did not have the Thrashers in his playoff pool, and you could tell he didn't want him in there, and just all those ads this week from the Atlantis Thrashers, Arshdeep Baines, and and
Woo.
yeah, Woo was on the team, and I think Fajmo, some uh, some uh, some interesting character to say the least. But yeah, uh, the commissioner definitely he definitely was hitting a dance on the grave of the Atlantis Thrashers, and looks like he'll be passed out on the driveway for the next coming weeks.
Yeah, Dave's gonna retire, spend the rest of his days in Cafe Atlantis until October comes around again.
And I think that's probably a bad sign for the team. Really, he really should take this time off to you know really study, get himself prepared for next year, and really make sure that he doesn't end up in a scenario like this again.
He needs to take this league seriously. This ain't a joke, David.
And David is known for jokes, so. But nonetheless, I think that's enough about the Thrashers there. It's a sad sight. A lot of people had high hopes for him coming into the season. He did put up quite the fight. At least he did not finish last, but it's a little too late for him there. And just browsing through the matchups of last week, nothing really too crazy. The Beans and Prestige Worldwide, that was quite a quite a slobber knocker of a matchup there. But as you could tell, the Beans once again not giving it their all, leaving injured players in the starting lineup, while Prestige Worldwide dropping 440 points. Second time of the season in the 400 club. I mean, is this guy not a sleeper in the playoffs or what?
I think Prestige Worldwide is going to be a force to be reckoned with in the playoffs, but maybe hitting that 400 points early, maybe he's blowing his load a little too early. If he takes a step back this week, he's done. You only get one chance in the playoffs, so we'll see how he does. But impressive 400 points.
Very
Definitely going
impressive.
to be looking out for that team.
Yeah, he trumped his projection of 318 points. I'm not too sure what Yahoo was thinking there, but yeah, I mean, topping the points there. Even Midnight Marauders themselves couldn't hit the 440 mark, coming short to the 425 point, which impressive in its own right. But I mean, when you have Connor McDavid on your team, nothing impresses me anymore, as you're just being carried along to a championship.
Oh yeah, that's a carry job, but we're going to go on that now. We're going to get to that a little bit later.
Yeah, I think we can avoid the McDavid talk for now. Let's looking through the rest of these matchups here, nothing too special. I mean, Seattle Sperm Cells coming through with a win last week was also very crucial. Escaping punishment. I won't speak too much on what punishments may have been handed out there, but I'm sure he has some ideas. He escapes with a massive win.
Yeah,
Uh,
massive. I don't know. Maybe he was from first to almost last. I thought for sure he was a lock for last after trading Drysaitel last year to get the chip. but no more Draisaitl, no more playoffs for my cousin.
You know, a lot of people point fingers towards losing Leon Draisaitl, but I think at the end of the day, it's just terrible team selection from Seattle Sperm Cells. You go into the draft with 2 first-round picks and you finish the season in 11th place. That's embarrassing. You don't see a lot of teams these days getting 2 picks in the first round. So when you get that, you got to make sure you make good use of it, and he definitely did not.
Oh yeah, you think with 2 first-round pick, this guy's a lock to finish the league first, second, third at the worst. Not 11th place. That's just a disappointment. Terrible management this year.
Yeah, he goes ahead and picks up Mika Zibanejad, who's been real good this season, but he busted his load a little too early with him and traded him off way too quickly. And his second pick in the first round being Mr. Svechnikov himself, who I have a few words to speak on of that man right there. Actually, he's great player, can't lie, but boy does the hockey gods work in some mysterious ways, because that guy is officially done for the season. Torn ACL out of nowhere, really just skating around and falls on the floor. It's miraculous how that happens, especially after some shithousery shenanigans for a trade for him, shall we say. I don't know if I want to get too much into that before I get a little heated here, but
A little too heated. Yeah, I'll just say some scummy trades revolving that. I don't know if we want to, like I said, get into that, but maybe we'll save that one for the awards show.
All right, well, nonetheless, I think we've touched about every topic based on last week. So let's just get straight into the playoff matchups here. It's looking good. I like what we see out there. I think we got a lot of balanced matchups. Quite a few heated rivalries heading into this playoff bracket here. For one to start it off, Death versus the Beans. They were exchanging words, heated conversations between those two last week. The Beans was welcoming this matchup. They wanted it, and Death was not happy to hear that. He said he's taking him down. So you can expect to see these two going at it.
Well, I mean, the Beans with the season sweep on Death here, I think that's a reason to be confident for. Beating him both times in the season. I could say Death was a little bit lucky this year. He has a terrible points for this year. One of the least points against in the league. Could say he lucked his way all the way up to the top 3. Fumbled that second spot that he held for so long. So, yeah, the Beans are not afraid of Death at all.
Yeah, it's an interesting matchup for sure, to say the least. I've seen both those teams perform some weeks and just have off nights the next, and it's like you said, 2-0 on the season for the Beans there. That is a home ice advantage to take into the playoffs there. Although there's a big mismatch when it comes to the total amount of games for the week. Death with that Colorado tandem starting off in the first round of the playoffs, that's going to be hard to beat, and they've been absolutely hot as balls. Dropping 101 points together as a tandem last week is quite ridiculous.
Yeah, I think another big difference here is going to be the goaltending. The Beans still carrying the one goalie, Jake Ottinger, the sole goaltender, and Death just has an entire suite of goalies. He has 4 goalies on his roster, so that's a pretty big uh, mismatch there in terms of goaltending. So we're going to see how that pans out.
Yeah, Beans is going to have to definitely be paying attention to the waiver wire and see who he can add to the arsenal here, because it's looking rough out there. But I think with some proper management, this could be a really decent matchup here. Moving on
Yep. The
here.
waiver wire is going to make a big difference in that matchup, but we can move on.
Yeah. But yeah, moving on here, then there's we got Busch Lights coming up against Splash City. This is another matchup. I'm a big fan of this one here. I know they how what did their season series ended? It was 1-1, I believe, right?
It ended in a tie. Yep, both teams winning against each other, so 1-1.
Yeah, see, and I know the first time around, Bush Lights really trampled on Splash City, absolutely dismantling them and cutting off the pipelines to make sure that the city was dry. And second time around, Splash City definitely they upgraded, transforming into puck holder mode, and they took the win that time around. But can Splash City get into the playoffs here and really lock into that puck holder mode, or are they going to drift back into their inconsistent ways and drop a 200-point week?
We're talking Bush here.
I'm thinking more Splash City, the inconsistency of his team.
Yeah, I mean inconsistent, but third place, or second place, you're second place for a reason. I don't think you can discount, making second place in this league. 14-7 is no record to laugh at. So I'd really like Splash City again in this matchup here. Nothing really to say is disappointing about this team. Maybe the goaltending, but the forwards are top tier.
Yeah, and that is one thing that's been carrying him more so throughout the, like, I know general manager Steven's been he was trying to shop around a little bit for extra goaltending options, and as you said, it's definitely a weaker side in the whole team there. But he can be very inconsistent. Some weeks his point totals are very low as well. Some weeks he's dropping 300 plus. Some weeks he's losing by 150 plus. Like it's very 50-50 with this team. But he knows how to pull it back. He's patent pending on that Splash Sunday trademark there. This guy, he's known for dropping big performances on those weekends. I mean, twice in the season against two of the top teams in the league, Muppets on Ice and Death. We've seen Splash City down by 50 going into the weekend and coming out on top within the matter of a day. And, he's really going to need that type of performance from his team if he expects a big run in the playoffs here. Now, as for Bush Lights, we've seen, he had this big surge mid-season. He started the season off very shaky, a little nervous in a way, and he slowly found his form and got his way up there into the middle of the table. Although the last few weeks have been a little shaky for him as well. Are we seeing some inconsistencies there as well?
A little bit inconsistent. I think, like you said, he started off shaky. Mid-season was very strong. I think some key pickups, some key ads were huge for him. I think most notably, T-shirt. Horvat was surging for him for a bit too. But yeah, I like this team. Goaltending's all right. Nothing crazy. Nothing really special about this team. Nothing really poor. I think it's just a pretty okay team. I don't know. It's gonna be a tough go for him. I don't know if Bush is gonna be able to make it through this one.
I look at this one more so as a battle of inconsistencies. Both teams have shown flashes of brilliance, and they've shown flashes of mud pies, to be quite frank. And it's really going to be whose players decide to perform this week and whose don't. Beyond
Yep.
that,
So, oh,
uh,
go on.
beyond that, I mean, there's not too much left for that matchup. I'd say we move on to probably probably the two big hitter matchups here. We
Okay, let it fly.
we let's leave this other one for last. I'd like to discuss the Midnight Marauders versus the Peachville Predators. Obviously, first seed and the eighth seed. But I mean, it would it would take some sort of miracle on ice for the Peachville Predators to make it past this one. And I know that I mean we all know there's a lot of people pulling for him. There's He's got quite the fan base behind him, but I don't know if that's more so people actually wanting him to win, more so people just wanting the Midnight Marauders to be eliminated from the playoffs.
Yeah, I just think that that every single team in the league is probably rooting for the Predators here. It's just a great underdog story. Um, yeah, Connor or the Midnight Marauders, sorry, are definitely the favorites going into this, but the Predators have the fan base behind them, and the fan bases of everyone's.
Maybe not the Atlantis Thrashers, I would
Oh, yep,
say.
yep. Sorry about that one. Definitely not that. That's a touchy subject.
Yeah, it's a tough one to get into, but I mean, just looking at the projections speak for themselves, really. Uh, it's a 352 point for the Marauders, while the Predators are only projected to get 260. Um, yeah. I mean the Predators they got a decent lineup, I will say. On paper, you look at this team, he definitely has the players who could perform, but yeah, the general manager of the Marauders is he's definitely put together quite the team here, and it, I think it'd be absolutely embarrassing if he didn't make it all the way to the finals and probably win this league.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think he's a shoe in for the finals, if not the chip. But doesn't always work that way. The hockey gods are going to work their magic in this playoffs, I think, and can go any way, especially with that Makar injury. We don't know if that's just for today or what that is. Maybe it's worse. We don't know, but we're gonna see.
Yeah, the severity of that could definitely alter a few realities here, and I no, I try my best not to be too biased on this podcast here, but I wouldn't mind seeing the Midnight Marauders close shop for the night, to say the least.
Especially with all the moves, he was definitely the buyer at the deadline. A lot of big moves, a lot of big picks being moved out of the Midnight Marauders draft stock. So if he comes up short, it's going to be a disappointing draft for him next year again.
Absolutely. And then we got the final matchup of the playoffs here. Prestige Worldwide coming up against the Muppets on Ice. Now, this one definitely interests me here. Going into this matchup here, I would say the Muppets on Ice were probably the underdogs. I've been a big fan of Prestige Worldwide. I think he's done great things with his team. I've always been a fan ever since that Brady to Chuck deal. I think he absolutely vamped his team up for a huge title push, and I think this guy could definitely make finals at the very least. But and with the Muppets on Ice, they've been a little inconsistent lately. But you know, Muppets on Ice, he's also put together quite a team here that has shown flashes of brilliance, and you really can't count him out. Such a grizzled veteran of the league. You'd expect him to make a deep playoff run.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be a tough hill to climb, in my opinion, for Muppets on Ice to beat Prestige Worldwide here, especially with Kaprizov and Fiala both out for Muppets on Ice. Those are two huge blows to the lineup. Uh, yeah, it's gonna have to be Matthews and Hughes going absolutely banana lands to get Muppets on Ice out of this one. Personally, I give the edge to Prestige Worldwide. I think he's put together a brilliant lineup through the many trades he's made this year. Big moves. He's moved a lot of big names, traded some keepers, bought some keepers. It's been a crazy season for both these teams, but yeah, my edge goes to Prestige Worldwide.
Yeah, I could definitely understand that one there, and yeah, you bring up two big names, Matthews and Jack Hughes. Uh, you know, Austin's been on an absolute tear lately, finally finding his true form that has been a little bit suppressed throughout the season. Definitely not the Matthews of last year we were seeing, but as of lately, he's definitely been on a huge tear. Jack Hughes, on the other hand, somewhat slowed down. You're looking at his last 12 games, uh, definitely not putting together a lot of points, only 2 goals, and he strung together 7 assists in his last 12 games. That's not the caliber you want from someone like Jack Hughes on your team if you're trying to get anywhere in this playoff run.
Yep, absolutely not. It's gonna be a fun. It's gonna be a fun matchup, that one for sure.
Oh, and we can't forget about the fatal blow. Mr. KK himself, Kaprizov, absolutely heart wrenching for the fans of Muppets on Ice as he just gets knocked out about what was it, 2 weeks prior to playoffs beginning. Now that was an absolute stunner, and I think that's also that's also a big loss for the team, and I think that's dropped his playoff chances quite a bit.
Yep, it's gonna be a tough. It's gonna be a tough round for this Muppet, but we'll see how it goes.
Well, after discussing these in-depth uh, matchups here, I think we just run through them all. Let's give our predictions, I say, and who do you think is gonna win each matchup here? As we'll start with the Marauders versus the Predators here.
All right. I give my edge to the Marauders. I just think it's almost a no contest. Got games on him. He's got defense on him. He's got forwards on him. Got goalies on him. I think he beats him in every category. I don't want to say this, and it hurts me to say this, but I think Midnight Marauders has a free week here.
Yeah, you know, I would like to play devil's advocate here and give the Peachville Predators their roses here, but at the end of the day, this is a sparring match for the Marauders here, and I expect nothing less than an absolute destructive week as the Midnight Marauders just cruise through the Predators and make their way to the next round.
Yep. I think that's a free one.
Prestige Worldwide, Muppets on Ice. Who you got?
I think this is going to be a very close match. Muppets on Ice has games on Prestige Worldwide, 6 more, but I'm still going to have to give my edge to Prestige Worldwide. I just think his forward core is a lot better. His D are definitely better. And the goaltending is going to be a bit of a. It's pretty even, but I'm going to give my edge to Prestige Worldwide. I like his forward group a lot better than the Muppets on Ice after the loss of Fiala and Kaprizov.
I'm glad you brought that up there. I'm a huge fan of Muppets on Ice, and I truly think that he's with the team he's got put together right now, just as he's doing as well as he really can. But like I said prior, this Prestige Worldwide team he's really put together quite the lineup here, and I think like you were bringing up with the injuries there, I think that could be a killer here for the Muppets on Ice, and I see Prestige Worldwide pushing far in this playoff run, and in order to do that, they have to take out this round.
Yep, absolutely. So on to the next one.
Death, the Beans, big matchup here. Who's taking it?
I mean, I'm gonna have to say the Beans.
Oh wow,
It's the season sweep there. I think it's gonna tell a tale of the management here. Death already. We got some games underway. He's got a starting goalie that's not even starting. So there's already some mental midgetry going on here. I think that's gonna be how the rest of the week goes. So my edge goes to the Beans.
Understand, understandable there. I see. Um, I've had the chance to sit down with both these managers. I've both great hockey minds. They both understand the game. They both know what they're doing out here. This is no first rodeo for each of them. Playoffs is something familiar for both of these guys. As you said, the Beans with the edge, the 2-0 series sweep throughout the season, and that honestly, I could see that playing quite the big factor in this matchup here. Does that mentally weigh down on the entirety of Death? Does that take him out of his element here? He's like you said, he's got quite the advantage game wise, and I would say the talent wise is quite balanced between the teams. Death has had quite a few players heating up lately. Like Jake Gensel's had quite a nice run lately. His defense, uh, arguably one of the better defenses in the league, if not the best. Um, but yeah, it just comes down to the head to head here, and quite honestly, I think I have to give the edge to Death. I think I think I think I can see Death taking it here. I think he capitalizes on this advantage, and coming with McKinnon and Rantanen have just been doing what they need to be doing right now, and as long as the supporting cast can back them up just a little bit, I think he can really do some damage this round. I think he can sneak his way through.
All right. Well, we're just gonna have to see how that one pans out.
And speaking of pans, Splash City, Bush Lights, final matchup here. What are we looking at?
Ooh, I think this is gonna be the closest matchup of the playoffs, of the first round at least. I like both their lineups very much. I think they're very close. All throughout, up and down the lineup, D, forward, goaltending. I think it's all pretty even. I think this is going to be the tightest match. This is a tough one to call. I'm going to let you call it first, and then I'll give my opinion.
I see. Piggybacking off me here. Well, like you were mentioning here, very even. Definitely, I definitely would say this is the most even matchup of the playoff standings right now. Season split also just cements it at this point. Like anything could separate these two teams, and it just really comes down to who has the more explosive week. Splash City with the 5 game advantage when it comes to the week here. Um, it's really a battle of star players here. Leon Draisaitl, Tage Thompson, Clayton Keller, big names. Tage actually been a little quiet lately due to his compared to his usual self. Leon Draisaitl definitely Bush Lights with the counter with the Nugent Hopkins on his team. That's a very great counter to have for the Leon Draisaitl. Now Clayton Keller, he's been otherworldly lately. What a great addition to the team he's been, and if that guy continues on the absolute tear he's been on, I think he could make a push and really be the difference maker that this team needs right now. Um, Bit of trouble there, goalie wise, when it comes to the Splash City. Vanacek, very inconsistent with his starts, splitting them back to back. Kemper just dropping down with an injury out of nowhere. Him not if he doesn't return to the lineup this week, it could be really costly for him, as Tarasov was his option as a pickup, and no one wants a Columbus goalie on their team, to be quite honest here. So you got to give the edge to Bush Lights there with Ullmark and Gustafsson, who's just been absolutely lights out lately with Minnesota. It's a very close matchup. I'm gonna follow my intuition here, and I believe the puck holders are gonna emerge here, and I think they're gonna turn up the heat, and Splash City's gonna slip through to the next round just barely on a Sunday performance.
The weekend Warriors are going to come out and sneak another win.
I think so. I think it comes real close throughout the entire week, head to head, and a masterful Saturday or Sunday just makes the splash occur.
All right. Well, I'm going to have to go the opposite of you, and I'm going to give my edge to Bush Lights here. He definitely has the edge in goaltending. Totally forgot he had Allmark, best goalie in the league, bar none. So I'm gonna have to give my edge to Bush Lights, but like I said earlier, I think this will be the closest matchup of the first round for sure.
Definitely excited to see how that plays out, and I think it'll be a real good one, to be honest.
All
Well,
right, that's all the matchups.
yeah. Beyond that, I think we've just about we touched on like everything. I think at this point, and yeah, I think we'll try and get maybe we might try and get a guest on next week's episode. I know we've been lacking a little bit with the episodes this year, but we're really appreciative of our fan base here, and I'm really happy that a lot of people have been listening throughout the entire year. And we're coming down to the last few episodes here, and sorry, I crunched myself. And and yeah, I think we'll try and get a guest coming on next week. I know the playoff managers are very busy right now, so I'm gonna reach out, maybe try and get someone who's not in the playoffs in here to maybe discuss what really went wrong with their team. I know a lot of people want to hear from the manager of Atlantis Thrashers. I'm sure he's got a lot to say.
He's got to come on and defend himself after that absolute barrage he received,
He
for
really
sure.
he really was bullied, and it was a little hard to watch, but you know understandable with the words that were exchanged. Well, nonetheless, I think that just about wraps it up here. I think this was a great time. Got a lot discussed here, and we got a great week of playoff hockey to start us off here. I'm really excited to see how this all pans out.
Before we close out, you want to give your predictions for who's going to take it all before we see who wins the first week?
Now that's a tough one right here.
Who's
We
going to be the first place team?
we discussed it earlier. Just Connor McDavid just almost solidifies you the title at this point. If he doesn't, then you really got to question the manager at that point. How are you not winning the league? Um, God, I really was high. I was really riding high on prestige worldwide. Um, I it's really a toss up here. It just comes down to big performances here. And you know what? I think no one mastered a big performance more than Splash City. Those guys really know what they're doing there, especially on their weekends. And they've taken down the Midnight Marauders throughout the season, beat them in week one, lost the second matchup just barely due to a Draisaitl injury, which was unfortunate. And having Draisaitl on their team, that's one of the best counters you can have against Connor McDavid, if not the only counter, really. So you know what?
Absolutely.
I'm going bold, and I'm giving it to the city of the splash. He called it out earlier in the season, dropping a track on the league, said the title's coming home. I trust him. I trust him, and I think he's gonna make sure that it happens.
Whew, impressive. Okay. Oof. All right. I'm gonna have to give my chip prediction to the Prestige Worldwide.
Mm.
Like this team a lot. Definitely can't give it to Midnight Marauders. That guy's gonna go mental midget somewhere along the lines. The hockey gods are definitely gonna intervene and put a stop to his terror. I'm gonna have to go with an underrated team in my opinion. It's Prestige Worldwide.
I do like that. I like that pick. I can see what you're saying there. He definitely has what it takes to make it far and potentially win the whole thing.
All right, that's all I got.
All right, well, I appreciate you coming on here. I appreciate this whole discussion, and final thing I have to say here, uh, to the Gordon Bombays, we like to extend our heartfelt condolences on last place. As you can see, he stands there proud with that 12 above his head, and you know, I wish him well in the future, and I pray he can somehow muster a better season than what he put together this year. Because, yeesh.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough punishment for the kid.
Sorry, I dropped some toonies. All right,
How
well,
many?
about three of them. Well, the game notes are officially up. There's nothing left to speak on here, so it's time to close off the episode. Thank you all for listening. I've been Steven.
And I've been Johnny Zero Green.
And thank you all. And we'll catch you in the next episode of Faggots of Fantasy, Playoff Edition. Adios.
Dun, 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 dun. FAGGOA.